I'm going to take you through task 15 of Stronger, which is complete DRAM recovery. So this is for recovery of diastasis rectus abdominis muscle. So to get to this task, you want to have completed tension tactics and maybe even postural exercises from previous chapters. They're all about setting the foundations. Once we've got our spine in the right alignment, our pelvis in a good position, and a tension at the depth of that muscle separation, we can work on bringing those muscles together. And that's what we're going to do in this task now. I'm going to show you how to do each of the 15 exercises, and you can refer back to Stronger for reps and sets and any specific techniques for you. All you're going to need is a soft Pilates ball, and we're going to start in kneeling. So the ball's going to be between your knees, and that's going to create more tension through the lower belly by using your inner thigh. So find your tension tactic. That might be using your pelvic floor, that might be thinking about the deep transverse abdominis, but you want to feel tension at the back of your diastasis. Once you've got that tension, you're going to breathe out and take your arms out. Feel the tension build as the weight of your arms come over your head. Breathe in, lower your arms back down, release. So it's like you've got that tension on, say 50-60%, and then you take it up near on 100 when your arms are up here. And then you come all the way back down. Come back to your 50-60% resting tension, build it all the way back up. Use your arms like weights and use your out breath to help you. So each exercise is layering up on the one before, so you build lots of time with that muscle under tension. Exercise number 2 is a press up. So keeping the ball between your knees, we're going to find a 4-point kneeling position. So your hands directly underneath shoulders, knees directly underneath your hips. So we're going to use the press up to fire up that tension here. So if we bend our elbows, maintain a neutral spine, and then we're going to find that tension. So ball squeeze, pelvic floor power, or zipping up that low tummy, find that connection, breathe out, push your arms up straight. Hold that tension again, maybe 50-60%, we're going to come back down, and then take it to near on 100% as you push up and away. So you're building that tension, adding on movement, using that press up as the resistance. Use your out breath to push up and away, belly button into your spine. Exercise number 3 is forearm plank. So we drop down onto our tummies and we come up onto our forearms, ball still between our knees. This one is so good for recruiting the front of the tummy. So start in a really kind of like slouch position for your shoulders. Squeeze the ball. Hang your head looking at your belly button. Now remember, imagine there's a flame here like that on a flickering candle. Lift your breastbone up away from that flame so your 2 shoulder blades move apart and you get that strength through the upper back. Keep looking in, you're trying to look at your belly button, and then you're going to keep that lift, like the candle now is underneath your belly button, now it's underneath your pubic bone, and you're lifting all the way up away from the floor. It's important that your upper arm stays vertical, so don't push back, otherwise you'll lose the tension. Keep that upper arm vertical, keep that scoop up and in, you're looking in at your belly button. And I can see those muscles at the front starting to shake as we hold that rounded shape. The 6-pack muscle is doing that there. We want to keep that tension through the middle so there's no valley, there's no triangle tummy, because we've got tension at that midline. And we work on holds. Alright, so now we combine the last 2 exercises. So we're going to come into half plank press up. So start on your hands and knees, hands directly underneath shoulders, knees underneath hips. We're going to walk our hands forwards up on that, and then allow the pelvis to travel through. Shoulder blades squeeze down, tuck your chin, look straight down in between your 2 hands, and that's your start position. Then from here, we're going to bend our elbows, bring our body close to the mat. That's where you create that tension. Squeeze the ball, pelvic floor, zip up tummy, press straight up and away. Bring your body back down to the floor. So I'm concentrating really hard not to let my back bow or buckle. I'm trying to keep that neutral spine and concentrating on that midline tension. And when we get to the bottom, we don't want to lose it and sag down. And I'm taking it only as far as I can control it. It might just be tiny little elbow dips as you build your strength. That's totally fine. Remember, it's all about adding that resistance. But until you get through this level, we can't go to the next one. each exercise is a progression of the one before, so make sure you tick them off. And now we move to exercise number 5. We're going to start taking the ball away as we move to single leg. So lying on your back, your pelvis again, find that neutral position. And what you want to focus on is that your pelvis doesn't rock on the mat as you float one leg up and you hold with tabletop. From here, point your toes and straighten your leg. Now the tension comes on as your leg goes down, that's the weight. Breathe out, lower your leg, making sure your body doesn't change in shape, the tension builds. Breathe in, that leg comes back up. You stop just as far as you can before your back presses into the mat. So you just want to hold that neutral spine, lift and lower your leg. So you've got your best posture, and then you're adding on the resistance. As the leg goes down, you're building that maximum tension. As it comes up, it drops off just a notch. Maximum tension, off just a notch. And don't forget that one is both sides. As we come into open chain, we're going to go back to both legs. So this is tabletop squeeze. One leg's going to come up, and I'm going to focus in the middle. Either look, you can hold a mirror above you, or use your hands to check what happens. You need maximum tension here, so pelvic floor, maybe even deep tummy zipper, maybe the two together. Don't let your tummy push out, find that tension, feel it as you slide the other leg in towards your bottom and then float up to tabletop. Tummy shouldn't push out, should stay taut. Ball now goes between your knees and you're going to squeeze it for a 10-second count here. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. You want to hold it for as long as you can, but each of those seconds need to be great ones where you've got that tension on. In between, take the ball away, leg down, reset. You want every second to count, so it's better to come on and off that tension as you're learning. Once you've got it, you can stay on for several repetitions. So again, heel lift, slide the foot in towards you, and then bring the other leg up, ball squeeze between your knees, and you're going to hold it here for endurance. Once you've mastered this one, we can come back to single leg without the ball. So we're going to come up into tabletop. Just as we did before, making sure the tummy muscles don't shoot out, keeping them drawn in, making sure the body doesn't rock on the mat. And now hip twist from here. One leg comes out to the side. Breathe out. Imagine elevator doors shutting across your tummy. Two tummy muscles pulling together. Breathe in. Other leg goes out to the side. Breathe out. Pull those two tummy muscles together. Use the resistance of that leg to help that closure happen. Maybe even feeling it with your fingers. It's really important here that the one leg that's not moving stays as still as possible. And you go only as far as you can without your body following. So you want to just take it as far as you can, find that challenge, but don't let your body tip on the mat. And remember, it's your out breath as that leg comes back in. And you alternate those sides and you work with that control for as long as you can. All right, exercise number 8. So ball's going to go back between the knees. This is a curl up. Very often with diastasis, we're told never to do sit-ups or head lifts. And there's a good reason for that. When we do sit-ups, up, down, we are contracting, lengthening, contracting, lengthening, contracting, lengthening the muscle. And your muscles have already been stretched quite a lot, so we don't want that to happen. But when you're ready, we can work on just the contract and the shorten and the tighten phase, not the lengthen and the stretch, just taking it there and holding it there. And that's what we're going to do now. So again, maybe feel for tension with your fingers, squeeze the ball, create the tension now before you add the curl up. You want to feel the floor of your separation come up to meet your fingers. Hold that tension on, then scoop your head and shoulders up away from the floor. Keep your chin off your chest, keep that neutral spine. Don't let your tailbone tuck. You're just sliding your ribs down towards your pelvis. Squeeze the ball. The tummy muscle, the six pack should be strong. And there should be no deep gap and no doming triangle tummy. The waist might want to work. You want to really focus on that center curl up to squeeze those muscles. And we work on holds. We work on holds for as long as we can keep that endurance, and then we must save a little bit to help us safely back down to the mat. before we go again, and we layer it back up on top. When we can do that, we add in our curler, our tabletop. So exercise number 9, one leg, create tension, other leg, lock in your tabletop with that ball squeeze, hold it here. Without changing the shape in your body, keep the tension there, and we're going to curl up with the head and shoulders, sliding the ribs down to meet our pelvis, and we hold that position. So the front of the six-pack is as short and tight as it can be. Every muscle there from the inside out is working. And again, we work on hold, so this is the focus, the shortening of those muscles. And then exercise number 10, we're going to take it into a box plank. So ball still between your knees. If we roll over onto our hands and knees, you want your hands underneath your shoulders. And instead of a neutral spine here, I'm going to encourage you to make a flat back. So not massively rounded, but not too curved. I want you just to soften that curve out, and that is going to start to use the lower belly six-pack to just tuck that tailbone ever so slightly. We're going to tuck our toes, find the tension before we lift. So you want to keep your chest lifted, the tummy drawn up and in, and on your next out breath, squeeze the ball and float and hover your knees. Your tummy should pull in. It's quite handy to put a mirror underneath you here to watch what's happening at your tummy if you can't see when you look down. You don't want your tummy to poke out, you don't want it to hollow in. You want to be able to feel and keep that tension there as you hold your little box plank. Now the next 5 exercises are further progressions. We don't all need to add these on, but if we still need more strength, we need more tone through the tummy, then we've got to test that muscle even further. So these are ones to add on. These are higher level, much more advanced once we've gone through that healing and that recovery, and our focus now is regaining our strength. So these next 5, you may well see them in early postnatal recoveries, but they are much more advanced, and hopefully you'll see why. Okay, so the first full plank. So we're going to lose the ball. That security is going to come out. You've learned now how to create tension. You've solidified that with the first 10 exercises. Now you're going to do it on your own. So from tabletop, let's take our hands a little bit further forwards. Let's find that little flat back position and then create the tension. That pelvic floor close, the elevator up, the zip up through the belly. Lift and float your knees, then push your legs forward. So you're holding that straight spine. If you sag down, the tummy won't work. You'll feel it in your back. If you go too high and push back, you won't feel anything through your tummy, and your shoulders will carry the load. So it's a good idea to line up maybe alongside a mirror here and check that your hands are underneath your shoulders. There's a straight line through the body. And again, either look or check in the mirror that your tummy is pulling in and it's strong because you've got that tension. And we hold for as long as we can maintain that tension. Once we've got that, we can try number 12, toe taps. So toe taps, also called scissors in Pilates, we have to have a solid tabletop first. And then we make the lever longer. So we roll away from the hip and then we pick the leg up and come back in. So the reason this is harder is because you're moving away, you're stretching back out, but whilst also maintaining that tension through the middle. You don't want your back to rock. So some of the things that might go wrong is your back might rock on the mat as you do this. Your tummy might pop up. You might feel like you've got to pull your knees in or feel like you're loading your spine. So work on previous exercises if you haven't quite got that yet. And it will come as the strength builds. And then as we move to 13, it's making the lever longer still. So we breathe out, we squeeze the thigh, we point the toe, and then we come back in. And the opposite side, squeezing the thigh, pointing your toe. Again, the legs are our weight, so we use those to help us create tension. And we build that endurance. Number 14, I'm going to take you back to a full plank. So again, the focus of these last 5 are, instead of having to always have those muscles short, we can trust ourselves to lengthen back out again, but have the strength to do that. So our hands in front of our shoulders, coming into our plank. You might want your hands a little bit closer together here, but see how you go. Lift and hover your knees, then shoot your legs forwards and find your solid plank. Maybe step your feet a little bit wider if you need, so they are hip width. Now you want to try not to rock or shift. On your next out breath, one arm is going to float forwards. And then you're going to come back down on your in-breath. Try and be as steady as you can as you switch to the opposite side, taking the load on that one arm. So we're working more down one side of the body, but because we have that nice tension, we can keep the load through the middle. Taking it out of your neck, looking straight down. Imagine you've got a little tennis ball underneath your chin, and your endurance comes from as long as you can hold that tension. And the last one from this task here is double leg stretch. So we're going to come back onto our back. We're going to also use the ball. We're also going to need the ball for this one. So the ball's going to go between the knees. One leg tabletop, other leg tabletop. Squeeze the ball together. Now from here, we're going to add that curl up. We know we can do this because we've done this in previous exercises in this task. Keep all of the tummy muscles on. Squeeze the ball. Now from here, the legs go out straight and then they come back in. So I'm paying particular attention to what's happening through my back. If my back arches, I know that my back is taking over from my tummy. So I want to keep my back in that same position as my legs go out and in. And that dictates the height of your legs. If you go too low, before you've built enough strength, then the back may well arch. So then try going a little bit higher and build your endurance there. Always check with your hands that you have that tension. And if you feel like you lose it, spend more time in the previous exercises, because that's where your tension comes. And then we just keep increasing the load to build more and more strength and more resistance to close that gap between the two sides of the tummy muscles.